Back in 1982, a name you could find in pretty much every household medicine cabinet suddenly became a symbol of pure terror. So today, we're going to talk about the Tylenol murders. This was a crime that didn't just take lives, it completely shattered our sense of safety, and believe it or not, kicked off a revolution in how we're protected from the products we use every single day.
Just imagine this. You've got a headache, you reach for a pain reliever, something you've taken 100 times before, and just minutes later, you're dead. I mean, that was the terrifying reality that gripped the Chicago area and then pretty quickly the entire country in the fall of '82. It's a question that just vaporized consumer confidence, like overnight. All right, here's how we're going to break this whole thing down. First, we'll look at the unthinkable crime itself. Then, we'll get into the crisis of trust that erupted and the incredible way the company responded. We'll also cover the massive and ultimately unsolved manhunt. And finally, we'll see the legacy of safety that was born from this terrible tragedy.
So, picture it. It's the autumn of 1982. We're in the quiet suburbs of Chicago. Tylenol is an absolute staple, right? It's in medicine cabinets everywhere, a brand that just means relief and trust. Well, that trust is about to be shattered in the most horrific way you can possibly imagine.
The terror here, it just unfolded with shocking speed. On the morning of September 29th, a 12-year-old girl, Mary Kellerman, takes a Tylenol for a cold and dies. Just hours later, a postal worker named Adam Janis collapses and dies after taking the exact same pain reliever. And then, in this absolutely cruel twist of fate, his grieving brother and sister-in-law, Stanley and Teresa, take Tylenol from the very same bottle while mourning him, and they die too. The death toll would soon climb to 7 people, all connected by this one single terrifying thread: extra-strength Tylenol.
It didn't take long to figure out the cause of death: potassium cyanide. The capsules had been opened, filled with a lethal dose, and when I say lethal, in some cases there was enough poison in a single pill to kill thousands of people. This wasn't an accident. This was a calculated act of terror, just designed to cause as much harm and panic as possible.
You know, the first thought was maybe contamination at the factory, but investigators quickly ruled that out. The horrifying truth was that somebody was literally walking into stores, taking Tylenol bottles off the shelves, lacing the capsules with cyanide, and then putting them back for any unsuspecting person to buy.
As you can imagine, this news sent shockwaves across the entire nation. It sparked this massive panic. And for Johnson & Johnson, the company that makes Tylenol, it was a complete corporate nightmare. What they did next wouldn't just decide the fate of their brand. It would end up setting a whole new standard for how companies handle a crisis.
Seriously, their response was a masterclass. They didn't try to hide, they didn't deflect blame, they took immediate and really decisive action. And their approach is still taught in business schools today. It's like the textbook example of how to do the right thing when a complete disaster strikes.
So what was their first move? It was incredibly bold. They issued a nationwide recall of every single bottle of Tylenol. That's 31 million bottles pulled from shelves all across the country. It was totally unprecedented, and it sent a crystal clear message: public safety came first, period.
And this decision, wow, it came with a hefty price tag, over $100 million, and that's back in 1982 money. It was a massive financial hit, but it sent this incredibly powerful message to the American public that their safety was worth way more than any profit.
Their plan was simple, it was fast, and it was comprehensive. Okay, so 1, pull the product. 2, stop all ads so you're not encouraging more people to buy it. 3, set up hotlines to answer the public's frantic questions. And 4, work with the media to get constant warnings out there. They basically took control of the narrative by being totally transparent and proactive.
And the results were just astonishing. I mean, most experts were predicting that the Tylenol brand was dead and buried. But Johnson & Johnson's huge bet on transparency and public safety totally paid off. In less than a year, Tylenol hadn't just recovered, it had reclaimed its spot as the top-selling pain reliever. It was a really powerful lesson in the value of corporate integrity. Okay, so while the public safety crisis was being handled, the focus shifted to a huge question: who did this? This sparked one of the most intense and widespread criminal investigations this country had ever seen. And the manhunt was a massive undertaking. We're talking the FBI, the FDA, local police departments all across Illinois. They all launched this huge joint investigation, pouring countless hours and resources into finding this killer. Now, the investigation did lead them to a guy named James Lewis. He sent an extortion letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to make the killing stop. He was convicted for the extortion and spent 13 years in prison. But here's the thing.
investigators were never able to definitively link him to the actual poisonings.
And that is probably the most chilling part of this entire story. Despite this massive investigation, despite decades of work, the Tylenol murderer has never been identified. The case remains one of America's most infamous unsolved crimes. So while the criminal case remains cold, the tragedy itself forced a revolution in consumer safety. Those 7 deaths were not in vain. They led to changes that protect every single one of us, even today.
I mean, it's really hard to imagine now, but before 1982, most products were sold in these simple, easy-to-open packages. There weren't really any federal laws about product tampering. After this tragedy, all of that changed. Tampering was made a federal crime, and this whole new era of tamper-evident packaging was born.
And these changes were swift and they were huge. Congress passed what became known as the Tylenol bill, making product tampering a federal crime. The FDA rolled out strict new regulations for tamper-evident packaging, and Johnson & Johnson themselves set the industry standard with their new triple-sealed packaging. The glued box, a plastic seal on the neck, and then that foil seal inside.
So really, the next time you find yourself struggling to open a sealed bottle of medicine or a container of food, just remember why that seal is there. It is the lasting legacy of the Tylenol murders. It's a constant reminder of the 7 innocent lives that were lost, and it's a testament to the changes that were made to make sure nothing like it would ever happen again.
So this 40-year-old case, it raises a really important question for us today, right? In our world of instant information and social media outrage, does the Tylenol story still have lessons for corporate responsibility? I think it suggests that the core principles, transparency, accountability, and putting people first, they aren't just timeless, they're probably more crucial now than ever before. Thanks for watching.